possible for someone to say, no, I don't use bioenergy. Yeah, if you're alive, you use bioenergy. Yeah, and it's not just human, the plants also use bioenergy. However, of course, it is normal to think that maybe our bioenergy and the plant's bioenergy will be different. It's normal, right? Okay, so that's bioenergy in short. Now, what I've been doing is been researching this bioenergy for the purpose of healthcare and also enhancement. So, we mostly learn from the medical study, right? So the medical study is, if you compare it into the today's information technology, it will be like the hardware study. Yeah. So the doctors, they study the human body physically, but they do not really study the software part. They have psychology, they have psychiatric, but that's only like studying how human think, how human behave. They don't study how the software of human work. Yeah. So if we compare to a smartphone, they have the study of how to play this game, how to use that application, but they do not study how the Android work, that operating system, how does it work. So that's where I come in. So my research is studying how the human software work. And because all the software, of course, is energy, right? The Android operating system is energy, the application is all energy. So by studying the energy, I can understand how the software works. For human, because our cells is basically nanobots. It's very small robots, right? It's capable of doing a lot of things. A single cell, it can transform into other type of cells also. But it requires energy to do that. Yeah. So if for the smartphone, if you have problem with the software, it may stop you from using it, but you can simply reinstall it. Format reinstall. With human, it's a little bit more complicated because problem with the software can cause damage to the hardware. For example, if you have problem with how your heart beats, the regulate, you get heart attack. Yeah. That could be as simple as anger. You get someone really angry, you got like heart attack, damage, and that's totally software problem. Another more common is like broken heart. Of course, everybody knows someone who's broken heart can die. So so that how far the software is related to the hardware. So that's what I studied. Okay, so based on my research so far, I discovered that actually the systems that already studied by the doctors is very closely related to the software also, because we do not only have one type of bioenergy, we have several different types. So like the energy that we use to contract the muscle is different from the energy that we use in the brain. So we have the bioenergy, first the reproduction system. This is the very first type of bioenergy that we have, because when you have conception, the sperm enter the egg, that we already have the reproduction system, right? That's the first bioenergy. After the cells starting to differentiate and then form the heart, then we have the blood circulation bioenergy. So I call it blood circulation just because to make it easy for people to understand. Okay? So that I don't want to use fancy names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I won't understand.
Everybody else
Yeah.
will what the hell is this? You know, that's people like to use, kind of crazy names.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we also have the nervous system, and we have what I call the mental control system. Is actually the consciousness. Yeah, so it's a combination of the three. So the reproduction and the blood circulation and the nerves, it can combine and it forms consciousness. But I just call it mental control, so it's easy to understand. So how you control yourself. And then there's the respiratory system. You have the gland system. Yeah. One more is digestive system. The one that we actually use for the muscles is for digestion. This is why when you're hungry, you get weak.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily become stupid,
Yeah,
but you become weak because that's direct from the digestive system.
Yeah, when we're hungry, we can't even think.
Yeah. So that's 7 in the system, and there's one that we do not produce the system, but we receive it directly from the planet. So it's a non-system. Okay, so maybe people said, receive energy from planet, what the hell is that? But it's for fact that astronauts who have spent like more than 2 weeks far from the Earth, when they come back, they will have some sort of mental problems. They become delirious from time to time. Yeah. This is because they were deprived of that non-system energy for quite a long time, and it takes years for them to recover.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but because the doctors do not understand that, they don't know what happened. They just say, well, maybe it's just because of seclusion or. So, but I already studied it, and actually you don't get that energy. So it's like you're starting from one point. Almost like you're deprived of one type of living energy. Okay, so all of this I also put in the document that I call Bioenergy for Dummies. Okay, and I will also upload the Google Play book. So if you open Google Play, you get books, you find Bioenergy for Dummies. It's already in the 3rd edition now. So it's completely good again. But in short, that's what bioenergy is. Now, after you hear my explanation, what do you think about it?
I think it's very interesting because what a doctor can explain, you can explain it.
Yeah, but which part of my explanation you find strange or confusing? Any questions?
I don't find it confusing, more like I need time to
something new, so it's kind of like it's not something done right.
Yeah, it's not get to me yet.
Yeah, so I will give examples. Yeah, it can be demonstrated directly. So when I explain that this is science actually, but for most scientists, they will say that no, that's not science, that's pseudoscience. Yeah, because they think anything that cannot directly be proven is pseudoscience, and they are correct. Everything that cannot directly be proven, that will be considered as pseudoscience. However, this is something that I can prove directly. So, for some conditions, it does not even take days. It takes minutes. Okay. Now, for one most obvious example is the breathing, the regulation of the breathing. Okay. If you think that the breathing is only an involuntary reaction from the muscle contractions, would this not mean that there will be no way I can change the way you breathe? Only you can change the way you breathe because you can regulate your muscle, right? Okay, but now you try. When you breathe the way you breathe right now, how far does your breath actually go? How far does the air actually go? Okay, you right. Where does it go? Maybe here?
Yeah, not that.
Not even that.
Not even
Here.
there, yeah.
So it's short.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, right? The reason it's short is because we are not breathing correctly. I don't know who started it. It's not possible to find in the history who started it, but the way that we force the baby to cry, actually that's wrong. The correct way would be like some native tribes still do it. You give birth in the clean running river, right? And the baby comes out, and somebody just guard the baby so it won't be taken by the river. And when the baby is ready to float out, he float out and just swims like that, and the breathing will be very long.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so now what I'm going to demonstrate is I'm going to restore your breathing programming, so your bioenergy. I'm going to restore the way that normally it should, so it should naturally be. Okay, now try breathing here. Where does the breath go now? Is it still here?
No.
Where?
But it's like. Wait,
Yeah. It goes all the way here. Yeah. See? Even though I would not say that I can do that to 100% of people, because nothing works 100% on anyone. There's always exception, there's always anomaly, but I would say that I can do that to at least 90% of the people. So 10 I can repair 9 of them. So it's directly demonstrable. And it does not require suggestion. I did not tell you exactly what I will be doing, and I just tell you I'm going to repair it. You don't know what I'm going to do. And then you just say, oh yeah, it's different. Yeah. So it's not suggestion. It's not hypnotism. I don't need to tell you it should go where. You just go there. Yeah, so this is science and something that can be proven instantly. But I can only do that because I have been doing this research since 2007. So it's been years, yeah. Yeah, so that sort of give you, okay, so that can actually work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that cannot be handled with bioenergy. For example, if you get an accident, you get your leg cut, just bring to hospital. This is only for repairing problems that mostly caused by the damage in the software. Yeah, so like you have depression, you have you eat always late, so your digestion system start to change. You can repair it. Your breathing is short, you can repair it. Stuff like that. So it's mostly internal problem. your immune system is low, so you can easily get infected by virus. So we repair the immune system. But anything that is completely external, like blood shot,
Yeah,
or
yes.
bring hospital.
There's no it magically.
Yeah. So the point, what I'm trying to achieve is to try to get everybody in the world to understand that medical science is very good, very advanced, but there's a lot of things that they cannot solve yet, and the reason is because they're simply looking at the human body as a hardware object. They're still thinking that okay, this is just just an inanimate object. They don't even want to consider what the hell is consciousness and life and everything. They just know, okay, this is a life, this is dead. This is,
Yeah.
They don't study the software, and because I study the software, so there's a lot of things that I can fix, right, without you having to drink any medicine at all. Yeah. But of course, on the other hand, there are things, as I said, there's things I cannot fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I want the people to understand. That when you have problems internally, you should actually be taken care from the software side, not the hardware side. Okay, so does any question pop up to me?
I mean, like, a lot of people actually have like mental problems these days, but when they see the doctor, they ended up like taking medicine. At the end of the day, it's always about medicine.
Yeah. So a lot of the so-called medicine for mental problem is actually addictive, very addictive. Like benzodiazepam, that's very addictive. You take it for about 2-3 months and then you cannot stop anymore. It's very addictive. Because what they do is they just suppress your brain working, so it make it work slow, so you can like okay.
There's nothing wrong there.
Yeah. They don't repair the actual cause. Yeah, so the mental problem, mostly you have to look into the bioenergy of the nerve system. That's nerves, right? Everything is nerves. If there's something wrong with the nerve system, you have to fix it. The programming. Okay. So that's in the health area.